Hi, you guys. Greetings from the cabin. Welcome to the closet, the laundry, the washer, and the dryer. This is my studio until we close on the house, which is not for about 3 more weeks. I just finished the first quarter moon live with the moon in Virgo. It happened tonight when the protests were peaking. I traced back the history in that one on what we're reliving, especially from the 1964, 1868, and the 13th and 14th Amendment. These protests are here to stay. It's going to be part of the Gemini Sagittarius eclipses that we're going to be going through the next year and a half. This is not going to budge. This has traction. And because we're coming up to the full moon eclipse, I wanted to show you the Tarotstrology for the function of the protests. On the ascendant, we have the King of Pentacles, which is candidate Donald, the Queen of Swords, which is the law, the courts, and in that reading I just did, George Floyd showed up. At the base of his reading, he said, "We're so tired of this. We're so tired of waiting. We've been offered things in the past. We're tired." This has teeth, you guys. So, and that's what's giving life to the protests. In the first house of identity, the protests are here to change everyone's mind and give them a new perspective on what exactly is going on. The astrology card told us to look to the 11th house. Yeah, they are a Grand Cross provocateur. They're causing a lot of provocations because it deals with their higher wishes and dreams and humanity. The eclipse has the 10 of Wands here. They're burdens. They're so tired of this. The Queen of Pentacles for the protests are, we are hoping that our leadership finds value in us. Listen to us. The secret behind the protests is that, yes, a lot of this is being provoked. Efforts by foreign interference to control the dialogue, and also the desire and how this is spreading across the U.S. The hidden enemy, though, these protests, this is voter suppression. Like China, I'm sure this administration is using artificial intelligence to be able to identify the protesters and figure out who they are so that they can suppress them in the next election. That's the real hidden danger with the protests and with reacting online, because immediately big data through Peter Thiel, through the CIA, because that's who he's partnered with, and Palantir, they have way more information on the protesters than we realize. What's crowning Washington, D.C. regarding these protests? Well, the Emperor. This is Don Julio. The eclipse is saying at the full moon, this is going to be related to action that he might take. The 9th house, usually this is lands traveled far away. I call this Putin's house. But in this case, this has to do with the Department of Justice. This has to do with the law, the higher philosophies that kind of govern us. This is where the money and the power is. The eclipse has a 5 of Swords, winning at all costs. So I think they might be using their power against the protesters. 8th house of shared resources. The protesters are charitable to one another. This is for a bigger picture, trying to get we share a government, we share a purpose, we share tax dollars. Be a bit more charitable, protesters. The eclipse has the moon here. I can see that where that would be Russia, China causing interference. I also see that as this landscape we have to navigate together to get to the promised land. We have to go through those towers of truths and through the lunations and eclipses. We'll get there. It's going to be a lot of work, though, together. We need one another. In the area of partnerships, open adversaries, we have the Three of Swords. This is a heartbreak, the electorate, we the people feel. With this administration, it's also the betrayal and heartache they like to impose upon us. The eclipse has the Three of Pentacles. Three secret discussions, I think, going on and how to manage this. Missing void. There's a void, of course, moon here. I'm not sure what to make of that right now. Sixth house of public servants. There are offers that are being made to public servants. The eclipse brings up the devil, public servants, and their addiction to, I guess, making offers. Kind of status quo, the thing that we've always done in the past, day-to-day routine. Keep your eye on this. Fifth house of the sun, which has to do with Don Julio. The Ace of Cups, he is getting, this is very emotional, but he is also getting a lot of support abroad for Russia interfering with the protests, whether it's micro-targeting or instigating or hacking. Minnesota, during the protests in Minneapolis, while they were dealing with all of that, they were also dealing with multiple cyber attacks from multiple foreign hostile enemies. This area that has to do with the defense of the U.S., our ancestors, how we care for one another, there's a plan. Protesters have a plan. We're going to defend ourselves. The eclipses has the Five of Wands, which means fighting obstruction. There's a plan to keep going. Third house of communications, they have the Ten of Swords. This is our friend George Floyd. Pissed. The astrology said, look to the 8th house of endings and beginnings. The people are done. It's like they lay down the gauntlet. Second house, income gains, values. The protesters, we value fighting back. We've had enough. And that's it. This is what's coming up as we move towards the full moon eclipse on June 5th. This is not going away, guys. It's got traction. Be kind to one another, even with those you disagree with. Got to make peace everywhere, even with people when you're in stores and they don't want to wear the face mask. Let there be peace. Reach for peace. Even in your households, everyone's getting micro-targeted differently, and you might disagree with someone on what's going on with the protests. Find the peace. Find the bridge. Do not isolate, okay? Have a good weekend. Be safe, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.